Srinivas ji, can I start now?
Please go ahead, Bala.
Okay. Um, Welcome once again, everyone. I am Bala. I'm a member of CHDHC team. I'm here to introduce today's facilitator, Mr. Suman. He's our one of the core facilitator, and he has facilitated many given in the workshops in Telugu and English language. He's based out of currently he's in USA, Detroit, and his journey in this Jivan Vidya started in the year 2003 when he was doing his BTech, Bachelor of Technology in Triple IT Hyderabad, and there was a time Jivan Vidya was delivered sessions in the Triple IT, and someone got introduced to that. From there, he was seriously pursuing this Jivan Vidya content and trying to help in walking in this journey to other participants and share the sessions. So in this journey, he has delivered many sessions to Andhra Pradesh when it was not divided. In Andhra Pradesh, he was delivered many sessions to lecturers, teachers, students, and in his own Triple IT Hyderabad. And then his knowledge and examples in this was very uh, practical, and he has been experimenting with different methods from the techniques taken from the Jivan Vidya. And he basically his profession in electronics. He's a architect by profession. Today he's architect. He's working in Bosch, and he will guide you and help you walk through in this Jivan Vidya journey today's session. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Suman. Over to you, Suman. And thank you once again for all you joining this workshop. Over to you, Suman.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Bala. Thank you for the very detailed and kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Suman, and I'm in Detroit, US, like Bala has introduced me already. So welcome to the Jivan Vidya workshop. So we have been registering for almost 2 weeks now, and there's a lot of euphoria on what this workshop is and what it is going to be. And what is it about? So because the word is of course a little self-explanatory, with Jivan Vidya, it's talking about life. Definitely this workshop is going to talk about life, living, how to live, what to achieve in life, how to be happy, all these topics about life. You can think of anything about life, and pretty much we try to cover all the dimensions of life in this workshop. So I welcome you all. I see one or two familiar faces. I think I know Sai from from the past, in probably in Triple IT campus. Hello, Sai. Nice to see you here. Welcome everyone. Since we have 1.5 hours for the session, we won't like and only actually this is a 7 full days workshop. So these topics are so important and so deep that we dwell for a lot of time on these aspects in a full 7 day face-to-face workshop. But because we are doing it online, and it's tough to sit for 7 to 8 hours every day online, we have kind of reduced this into a very short introduction to the workshop. The goal is that you would eventually like attend a proper full-fledged workshop and know in detail about all the aspects. But we won't leave any important points in the workshop, but because of the the time limitation, you may think we are either going very fast or a little abstract, etc. But anyway, let's come into the contents now. So this is sometimes the Jivan Vidya workshop is also referred to as Universal Human Values Workshop, because the values that we are trying to talk about in this workshop, they are actually universal in nature. What are values? What is universal in nature? What is Jivan Vidya? We'll come to all that. So this is an 8-day workshop, And in all the 8 days, we are going to talk about various aspects of life and living and human being. So as a human being, we have gone through this whole education system for 20-25 years. We have spent morning to evenings and dedicated like a lot of years to this education, but unfortunately there was not enough space given in the system to reflect upon very basic things like relationships. So we come out of this education system, we marry a person, or we have to deal with so many colleagues and so many relationships that we find it hard, because the topic of relationships, for example, has not been dealt in our education system in detail to equip us with the necessary knowledge and the knowledge required to deal with these as we meet a lot of people in our day-to-day lives. So and these, as we all know, are one of the most important things. Like if something affects our happiness on a day-to-day basis, that is relationships, for example. So we deal with pretty much all the aspects of living and life, and we hope to be of value to you all. And our request is that you attend this workshop in a peaceful environment, because we have to reflect upon a lot of these deep topics. And also, of course, if possible, take some notes, because these we will keep coming back to these points. And also in future also, there are many people even from this workshop who are attending, let's say, fifth time, sixth time, because every time we attend, sometimes, like we say, some spiritual books and all, every time I read, something new strikes to me. So the first time maybe one or two things strike, in the next time when someone attends, something else may strike. So there is a repetition of people tend to repeat and attend and get more and more, so that they understand more about this workshop. And this is just a small introduction to the vast body of knowledge of Jivan Vidya. So with that brief introduction of what is this workshop about, let's go right into the workshop. So I'm trying to make it little. I need your participation in this. So we'll do a small activity. I'll be asking you a question. If possible, please try to put your answer in the chat window. Um, okay. So I'm going to ask you this question of, like, we all want a happy life and a happy world around us. Like, what is your imagination of such a happy, beautiful and life and world around us? Can you describe that for me? How does that look like? What we all imagine as a very that that dream world or dream life for ourselves. Fulfillment.
Mr. Shuman, you may pick up somebody to answer the call, or else everybody will be just.
Okay, yeah, I forgot to tell actually. So everybody will have to like nobody. I didn't ask you to unmute and talk. So please put your answers in the chat window, and even for questions. So we'll create some space between the after the topic. After I speak for a few minutes, I'll ask if you have any questions on this topic. So at that point, you can raise your hand. I'll try. You can, and then I'll call out your name, so you can unmute yourself and then ask the question. So in the meantime, please put your answers in the chat window. Thank you. Okay, so fulfillment, security.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So actually, it's not allowing chat box to text any message, sir.
Okay.
Also, it is not displaying any members in the chat in the meeting except me. But I'm hearing the voices.
Yeah, so please, I mean, the technical issues, you can chat with Mr. Srinivas, who is one of the admins. He'll try to help you, because this is not the space. It's very precious time here. We can't go to these things. So let's continue. So for any help, please contact Srinivas Garu, who is on the WhatsApp group. He will try to help you with those questions.
Fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Being true, living in harmony with natural world without any man-made jungle. Okay. Harmony with nature, happiness, peace of mind. Love, sufficient money, happy relationships, peaceful, pleasant. Peaceful we have already written, so pleasant. Okay. Healthy, clarity and priorities. Clarity, nature. Okay, anything else? Achievement, success, containment, success, containment. Okay, so now let's write on the other side, what is the current situation? What is its situation today? How is our life and how are things around us? Now, can you please again type in the chat window? How is the situation now? Unpredictable, hopeless, no clarity, lack of healthy relationships. So I'll write relationship problems. No good, struggling, tension. I think this part, I think everybody is actively typing. Lack of engagement, but looking forward, hopefully. Resentment. Doing what I want to do and live my own terms. Okay. Lack of trust, apathy. Happy, content, peaceful living in concrete jungle. Yes. Frustration. Conflict, stress, and busy life. Busy, conflicts. Okay. So working under pressure, compromising, selfish, pressure, commitment, sense of purpose missing. Okay. All right, so let's leave it there. So yes, many of you have given a very good inputs. Thank you so much for your active participation. Yes, so let's write it. And this is Okay. So on the left is what we want to be, as you all have written, and on the right is what we are today. So I mean, I won't deny that, like, some of you have put that it's you're living happily and with confidence, trying to achieve what you want. But in general, if we look at things, things are pretty bad. Like, its life is unpredictable. We are hopeless. There's lack of clarity in our decisions. We face relationship problems on a day-to-day basis. There is tension and stress of work-life balance issues. um, we don't I mean, as parents, we are confused how to handle kids, and there's frustration. There is conflicts between people. There is selfishness, and there's pressure. So you have given all kinds of various things that are going on in our life as well as in society. So if you look at society, how are things like, poverty, right, injustice, and like, somebody has also written, like, no harmony with nature, exploiting nature, right? So this is how we are, as of today. But what we want to be, see, look at the beauty. Is there anybody who doesn't want what's written on the left side? Is there any individual here out of this 85 people who are in this call today who doesn't want what is written on the left side, where the life is full of fulfillment, a sense of security, being true to ourselves, and harmony with nature, and, happy life with the peace of mind, love, sufficient money, there's enough resources, money, and happy relationships, pleasant. We are living a healthy life with clarity, success, and containment. Is there anybody who doesn't need this? We may not. Okay, someone wrote, we don't want money. Okay, fine, we don't want money, but we need food, right, still. So it's when we mean money, we mean facilities, physical facilities. So we need physical facilities to live our life, whether it is clothes, or house, or food, or some other things that we use in our day-to-day life. So we need all those, as well as we need a lot of beautiful healthy relationships. We want to be living in harmony with nature and all that. Now the question is, we all want to be this, and every day what we do is try to achieve on the left side. So nobody wakes up and decides that, okay, today I'm going to be confused, today I'm going to be unpredictable, today I'm going to be get a lot of stress and tension. No, we don't go that way, right? We all want to, every day when we wake up, every month or every new year, every time we wish that we try to achieve what's written on the left side. That's that So we all want this, and we do everything, actions, to achieve this, but we end up on the right side. Now, what is causing this gap? When we all want to be on this one, and we do everything that we do to this thing, what is causing this gap? There is a gap, right? So what is causing this gap here between the two? What can fulfill this gap, or rather, can you type in the chat window? What can fulfill this gap? Okay, let me ask this question: is having more money going to fulfill this gap, or more physical facilities? I mean. Yes or no? Is more physical facilities going to fulfill this gap? Please put your response in the chat window. More physical facilities, is it going to fulfill this gap? If we have more physical facilities, can we achieve harmony with nature, happiness, peace of mind, love, sufficient money, or success, all these things? Okay, no. So they are required to live a happy life, they are required to live a fulfilled life, and with all the comforts, but that's not going to fulfill. More physical facilities is not going to ensure more of this, not necessary, right? Is a better constitution, or more rules going to fulfill this gap? If we have more rules, or more better constitution which is telling you do this, do that, is that going to fulfill this gap? No. Okay, this is not going to fulfill, this is not going to fulfill. Okay, so the proposal, so what is going to fulfill this gap? So for that, the proposal is that right understanding in individuals is required. If we have right understanding in individuals about various things associated with our life, like for example, right understanding about health. So if I have right understanding about what is health, how to take care of my body, and how do I keep it healthy, I will have less health related issues. So for example, one of the studies says that the one lot of people have constipation issues, lot of people have back pain issues. Is any amount of money going to solve those issues? Is any amount of rules and regulations going to solve those issues? No. Only again, this is a proposal, so everything is in this workshop is going to be in the form of proposals. So we are not going to say this is it. So when we say proposal, that means this is a proposal in front of you. You can verify it on your own right, like own right, in the sense right now in this workshop by reflection, but later when you go out and live your life, you can verify it whether it's leading to this left side or not. What we want to be, is it leading to that or not? So that's verification is on each one of us, because this understanding is in each one of us. If I have a right understanding, it's not going to help your life. If you have right understanding, it's not going to help my life. So we need right understanding is the proposal to fulfill this gap. If we have right understanding, then we can address, like for example, if I have right understanding about relationships, then I know what are the expectations in a relationship, how to fulfill them, how to behave with others, how to have the right feelings in me, like a sense of trust towards the other, a sense of respect towards the other, a sense of affection towards the other. These are the things. If I have right understanding about relationships, then I can have these feelings in me. Otherwise, I can never have these feelings, and it will lead to all these problems that we wrote on the right side. It's not because we don't want to, but we don't have this understanding about the relationships. That's the reason we get anger. That's the reason we get uh, wrong. We behave wrongly in our relationships, or even the other behaves wrongly in the relationships. So right understanding. Okay, what is right understanding? Right understanding about what? All that we will be dealing in this workshop. Okay, so okay, you are saying that right understanding is required to achieve this beautiful world that we want to live in, with full of happiness and full of prosperity, people living happily with each other, and in the lap of nature, in harmony with nature. So this is the dream world that we all want. We all want our lives to be like this. To achieve this, we need right understanding. This is the proposal. First proposal from this workshop is that we need right understanding in each one of us to be able to achieve this goal of what we have written for ourselves. If we don't have right understanding at various levels, so for example, if I don't have right understanding about relationships, that will lead to issues in relationships, whether I'm at home, at office, or out in the road, or in society. It will lead to issues in relationships. If I don't have right understanding about myself, then I will have issues like confusion, tension, issues like depression, issues like um, lack of clarity, issues about confusion, etc. So I need understanding about myself. And what else do we need right understanding about? We need right understanding about nature. What is nature? What is my relationship with nature? How do I live with nature? Right, so we'll come to that, what are the various things that we need right understanding about. But before that, I can take one or two questions. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. There's a raise your hand feature in the bottom, so you can see a hand picture. So if you click on that, you can raise your hand. All right, yeah, so the name says Shiny Buddy, so you can please unmute yourself and ask a question. So, Mr. Shiny Buddy, you can please unmute yourself and ask your question. I'll let anybody else. Maybe he's having a technical problem. He or she.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Yeah, please raise your hand, ma'am. I'll call out.
Yeah. Can
name.
we go with right understanding, sir? You said that right understanding clears all the problems.
Okay.
How can we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through right understanding?
Yeah. So that's the goal of this workshop. So can you please tell your name, ma'am? It's only showing as shiny buddy here.
Yeah, my name is Jyotirmayi, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So Jyotirmai, Miss Jyotirmai is asking how can we achieve this right understanding? So yes, this is the goal of the workshop to if the goal of every human being actually to achieve this right understanding. Now, how do we achieve it? What exactly is right understanding, and right understanding about what various things? That's the workshop about. So in the 8 days, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about achieving this right understanding only. So we hope that your question will be answered as you attend the workshop. But if you have it still, you can bring it back. But yes, that's a go. In this workshop, we are putting forward some knowledge in front of you. This knowledge, when we go back and live our lives, if you notice that yes, this is leading to happiness in my life, that becomes a part of you. You internalize into yourselves, and it stays with you for life forever. That thing that is going to stay with you forever, that is being called as that's called as right understanding. And it cannot be this workshop, we are going to reflect upon things. So you're going to think like, okay, yeah, this sounds good, this is nice, I think this is what they're saying is right. Or you may think, oh, no, they are talking about something unpractical. So this analysis that you're doing will be the initial phase of building the right understanding in this workshop. And as you go back and live your lives, you may have more questions, more clarifications. So when you try out things in your life, that's when the right understanding builds, and that's when the results also start showing up in your life, in the form of happy relationships, in the form of peace in your mind, and all that. So that will come when you start living it out, this whole knowledge that we are going to talk about. Any other questions? So please raise your hand so that I can call out your name if you have a question. Yeah, Nageswara Garu. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Nageswara Garu, మీరు mute లో I think you're talking muted, and please unmute yourself and talk so that we can hear you. Yeah, now we can.
Right understanding differs from person to person. What is right you think may not be right for me. Then how do you generalize?
Right. Yeah, very good question. Thank you for asking the question, Nageswara Garu. So is right understanding different from every individual to individual, or is there a commonness in the right understanding is the question. So yes, that's a very important thing, because we all think that at this point, based on what we have seen in our day-to-day lives, that everybody's understanding is different, and it cannot be the same. Yes, the understanding that we have. So let's underline the part here. So what we have as understanding today, okay, in each of us is different from others. So, for example, Mr. Nageswara Garu may think one way is the right way to deal with relationships, or having the feelings, and I may think differently about understanding about relationships. So all of our understandings are different and at different levels. But what is right? Is there a commonness in the right part of the understanding? So of course, we all think whatever I understand is the right understanding. But when we are referring to the right understanding here, this is a universal in nature. Like, for example, let's take a small example. Do you want to be happy is the question, right? I asked all of you, what do you want to be? And you all said, we want to be this, right? Nobody said, okay, I want to be unhappy today, and I want to have issues in relationships today. So there is some commonness in all of us. Okay, right understanding is going to deal with that commonness, and that's why in the beginning of the workshop we said universal human values. Okay, this question of every human being wants to be happy. This is common, whether it's in US or in India, Australia, London, Russia, everywhere. Whether when somebody asks a person, do you want to be happy? The answer is consistently yes. Right? There is universality in the answer there. Similarly, do you want respect or do you want disrespect? Everybody will say, I want respect. Nobody, there is nobody who would want, I want to be disrespected today. Right? There is universality in things. So we are talking about, when we say right understanding, it's not the understanding that we have today. That is different. That's the goal. The understanding that we have today is incomplete. That's the reason it is leading to all these issues that we have written on the right side. Okay, so when we are talking about right understanding, it is improving our understanding, what we have as today, which we think is the right understanding, to improve that understanding and enhance it to align it with the reality. Okay, when we align our understanding with the reality, that understanding is called as right understanding. And when we have the right understanding, we all can work on, or it leads to this beautiful world that we talked about, where we are happy, where we are peaceful, there is love in us, there are right feelings in us towards the others, and there is a sense of fulfillment, security, and uh, all this achieving the physical facilities, etc. So that is what is we are talking about as right understanding here. Very nice question. Thanks for asking. Any other questions? One last question we'll take before we go. So yeah, Devika Das ji, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yeah. So can we also say that right understanding can be respecting difference of opinion and coexisting with differences?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, right. What is right understanding? What are the contents of right understanding? How do we interpret a how do I understand relationship, so that whatever you just said, like respecting the other, accepting the other, these are the things I can do within me. What is that understanding about relationships, so that I can do these things in a relation, like I can do right behavior in the relationships. That is what we are going to do. So relationships will come on day 3 and day 4. So let's go to, okay, now it's time to jump into the next topic also. So your question is leading to that. Let's take this opportunity to, so we talked about right understanding, and so the goal is to get this right understanding. Then the question comes about what? Okay, so about the way, so about the various dimensions of our life. Where do I live my life on a day-to-day basis? Okay, with myself. Okay, in family, or in relationships. Okay, let's write it there. Okay, so with myself I live my life. Okay, then with my body I live my life. Then in relationships I live my life. Then as part of society I live my life, and as part of nature I live my life. So what you just saw is, like, I just went from the smallest thing to the biggest one. So we all live our lives at various places, right? We live our life in ourselves. So even when there is nobody around us, we just sit, we think, we are thinking about so many things, like, okay, what should I do today? What should I do to be more happy in my life? Or did I do the wrong thing by behaving like that to that with that person? All these thoughts that are going on in me, right? So that is my life with myself. If I am not harmonious within myself, it will lead to all kinds of stress and tensions, anxieties, depressions, confusions. All these things are within myself, right? So dealing with all that needs a right understanding about myself. Then comes my body. So I have a body which I need to manage. I want to keep it healthy. right? So how do I what is my relationship with my body? How can I, what do I need to do to keep it healthy and keep it going? When it is sick, how do I handle it? And on a day-to-day basis, what should I do with it? So that's all understanding about what are the needs of the body in the first place, what is required for like when I'm wearing a shoe, I'm wearing it for the protection of my body, or whether I'm wearing it for my sense of pride. What am I wearing the shoe for? So these are all the questions where we need to understand what is the need of the body and what is the need of me. Okay, and then relationships. This is where the biggest troubles are most of the time, right? So we have relationships with our family members, then we have relationships with colleagues, and we have relationships like parent child, of course with this it's part of the family itself, like we have different types of relationships: parent child, spouse relationship, brothers, siblings, etc., cousins, and all those relationships. So how do I live in these relationships? What should be my behavior? What should be my understanding? What should be my feelings? So all that is going to be discussed in to build the right understanding in relationships. Then the society part. So what is living in a society? What's the value that I need to add to society? What should I do? What work should I do? Should I should I do education? Should I do business? Should I do commerce? Or should I be something else? So what value is a software engineer adding? What value is an administrator adding? What value is how can I be valuable to the society? Okay, so what is my role in society? To understand that, we need right understanding about society. First of all, how is society functioning and how can I be part of it? Then nature. So what is nature? How nature works, and how can I be in harmony with this nature without exploiting and disturbing the nature? So that's about understanding the nature. And aspirations, clarity, health, etc. So these are the various dimensions. This is the content of right understanding. So right understanding, we said is required. That was a proposal. Right understanding about what? About all these things. If we don't have a right understanding, so about myself and my body, we'll deal with this on day 1 and day 2 primarily of the workshop. Relationships on day 3 and 4 of the workshop, and then society on day 5 of the workshop, nature on day 6 of the workshop, and day 7 and day 8 are some other implementation aspects. For example, I have all this knowledge now, what do I do? How do I go and implement it um, in my life? What are the hurdles that I will face, etc. So these are the various things. So there may be a question, 8 days, what are they going to talk about for 8 days? So the content is, there's so much things to talk about and understand in our life that we need so much time. And this is by the way, the miniest workshop that has been ever done probably for Jeevan Vidya. This is such a small workshop. There's more reflection to be done in the bigger workshops. Anyway, so these are the various dimensions. So I live my life with myself. I live my life with my body, in my relationships, society, and nature. And understanding about all these will lead to harmony at each. So if I have better understanding about myself, then I'll have some peace in myself. If I have better understanding about body, then I will have, it will result into better health. I can take better care of my body. If I have better understanding about relationships, my relationships will start improving. People will start being more comfortable with me, and I will also be more comfortable with living with people. So all that happens if I have better understanding about relationships. Similarly, nature, I will have a sense of contentment, sense of uh, satisfaction about my work and all that. How do I get that? So I need to have the understanding about society. Similarly, nature. So what am I doing with nature? Am I exploiting nature? How do I live in harmony with nature? So if we want, for that, we need to have the understanding about nature. So this is the content of the workshop, this whole workshop on various days. So please don't miss out on any of the days. Please attend the whole workshop so that you get all this knowledge, so that it helps you in various dimensions of life. I can take one question if you have on at this point. Please raise your hand. You can raise your hand, and then yeah, Nageswara garu, please, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
When any concept is being explained, it is
Yes.
always better to take some hypothetical example. Then
Yes.
only the concept will be clear.
Yes, sir. Sure. Yeah, we'll get into all those examples. So at this point, we are just listing down the various, dimensions. But yeah, each of these, when we are dealing with relationships, there's a lot of examples that we need to take, because various situations that we are going to face, and yeah, examples are very helpful. Yes. Thank you. Um, yeah, naughty little puppy. I think Mr. Ram, please go ahead and mute yourself.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add, will the workshop include the mental aspect as well? Because when you mentioned health, you just mentioned about the body. Because when you look at the aspirations of the goal we had when you were explaining about the understanding bit in the previous slide, a lot of people were commenting about a lot of mental thing like happiness or stress or something. Could you also include the mental aspect as well? Because I think most half the health is like, although being physical, we need to include the mental aspect as well to have a holistic approach to the healthy living, or to myself as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. Very important point, Mr. Ram. So, uh, the health we are written here is absolutely, yeah, you're right. That's the physical health part. So, the mental health part is understanding about myself. So that obviously the clarity that we talked about, the decision making skills, the aspirations, and even like, for example, relationships. Having a peaceful relationship is also about, like, is related to the mental health. So what I'm trying to say is, except for body, everything else in this workshop is actually about the mental aspect of the health. So to improve the mental health aspect only, the rest of the contents of this workshop, the very small portion is actually allocated to the physical health of the person. In fact, there are very specialized workshops for dealing with the physical health. So we don't touch upon that. This whole workshop is actually about the mental health of the person. So what I am, what I want to be, how do I achieve it, and how can I have happy relationships? How can I live comfortably? So that's all the mental health aspect of it'll help the mental health aspect of the individual. Okay. I can take one more probably, because we have 1 more minute. Any further questions so far? Okay, we can go into the next part. So now we were saying that right understanding is going to improve various things. Now we need an example here, like how can right understanding help us in our day-to-day life, right? So for that we'll have to so I'll take an aspect of relationship. Okay. So how a better relationship or better understanding of a relationship can help us in our in leading a more comfortable life with with the right feelings within us. That part let's try to see. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions again. So I request you to type your answers in the chat window. I'm going to ask you some questions. So the first question is, you have to answer this from your perspective. When I say like, for example, do you want to be happy? So that's a straightforward question. The answer is whether you want to be happy. Then when I say whether the other wants to be, so the other, when I'm referring to the word other, look at it from like very close relationships in your family, for example. Okay, so the first question is, I want to be happy. Yes or no? Can you please Yes. Okay. Then second question is, I want to make I want the other also to be I want the other to be happy. Do you wish that the other be happy if possible? Yes. Right. Yes. So I want the other also to be happy if possible. Then the next question is, the other wants to be happy. Yes or no? Does the other also want to be happy in their life? Yes. Okay. Fourth question. The other wants to make me happy. The other wants to make me happy. No, 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 depends. I wish, maybe, maybe not, depends. Depends on the other person. Okay. So some of you are saying no or maybe this part. Okay. Now another set of questions. I'm always happy. Okay. Most of I'm always able to keep myself happy. Okay. Most of you have said no. So question mark. So sometimes maybe, sometimes maybe not. Okay. Then the next question is, I make the other always happy. I make the other always happy. Depends, maybe, maybe not. Yes, I don't trouble others, not always, absolutely try, depends. So there is some uncertainty. So we may or we try, it depends and all that. So the other is always happy. Can't say no, not sure, don't know, not always, depends on the context. Okay, not sure. Then the fourth question I have for you is, the other makes me always happy. The other is able to always make me happy. No, not always, depends. Maybe, no, 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 no. There's sometime not. Not sure, depends. Okay, another question mark here. Okay, very good. Brinda Kumariji, please mute yourself. Okay. Thank you. The questions are context based. Yeah. All right. So these are some questions that I have asked, and you have all given me answers. Okay. So let's look at each these questions. I want to be happy. That's we want to be happy. Yes, we all want to be happy most of the time, or always possible. I want the other to be happy. Yes, if possible, if it's not at the cost of my happiness, yeah, no problem. I want the other also to be happy. Okay. The other wants to be happy. Yeah, they also want to be happy. So there's no confusion there. So we said yes for all these things, right? The fourth one, there was some uncertainty, not sure. The other wants to make me happy. Okay, if you notice, when I asked, do you want to make the other happy? You said yes. Oh, yeah, of course. I'm a very nice person. I want the other to be happy. But when I asked, the other wants to make me happy. Oh, and I'm not sure. That guy, it depends on whether he's a good person or not. Depends on whether, various things. So I'm not sure whether that person wants me to be happy or not, but I want the other to be happy. So if you notice, when you said I want the other to be happy, who is this other? Let's say this 80 people who are attending here. These are the 80 people. Okay, everybody said they want you to be happy. But when I asked you this question, do you think the other 80 people in this workshop want you to be happy? Oh no, I'm not sure. This lack of assurance that the other wants me to be happy is lack of trust. Okay, so when we are talking up from our perspective, we are able to be very sure about our intention. But when we are asking whether the same question, this is actually a reflection. There is no difference between these two questions. This reflection, this question and this question are the same questions. It's just we are asking from your perspective and from the other perspective. Okay, so the same way, just like I want the other to be happy, the other also wants me to be happy. This part we are not able to see ourselves in most of the times in relationships, and it leads to lack of trust. But when we look at our perspective, oh, I did this because it is good for that person, or it is it is the right thing to do. I didn't really mean that the person is unhappy. I did it for their happiness only. But when the same thing, when they do it, we see that, oh, he or she shouldn't have done it that way. So we are not able to see the other person's intention when we are looking at the other. Whereas this part, when we say, okay, there is confusion whether, okay, I'm sometimes happy, sometimes not always happy. Sometimes I'm able to make the other happy, sometimes I'm not able to make the other happy. The other also is also like that. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not happy. And sometimes they make me happy, sometimes they don't make me happy. This whole thing is about okay, whether we are able to achieve it or not. This set of questions. This first set of questions is purely about the intention of the person. Okay, so these were intention related questions. These were competence related questions. So if I can use the Telugu words, this is uddeshyam, okay, and this is samarthyam. These words will apply for Hindi also. I think there's similar Sanskrit roots. So the intention, my intention is always clear to me. I want the other to be happy, but the other's intention I'm not sure about. Okay, but in reality, if you see, the other is also wanting you to be happy, just like we wanted the other to be happy. The other also wants me to be happy, but we are not able to see that when we are living our life. This leads to lack of trust, this leads to anger, and this leads to the the strains in the relationship. Competence part, yeah, I don't have the competence. I'm not always happy, so I don't have the competence, and I'm also not able to make the other happy. So I don't have the competence to make myself happy. I don't have the competence to make the other happy. Similarly, the other also doesn't have the competence to make themselves happy, and the other also doesn't have the competence to make me happy. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there, but not always, right? So on the competence part, it may or may not be there. So the other has the intention to make me happy, but is not competent enough, is not able to make me happy. When we have this clear difference between the intention and the competence of the other, then it helps us in understanding our relationships much better. Okay, this so the proposal here, this is probably, I think, the second proposal, right? The intention of the other, okay, trust is the assurance that the other wants me to be happy. I need to underline this part, the wants part. I have this feeling of trust when I have the assurance that the other wants me to be happy. I'll take one example. For example, um, there is again, like, I'll need your input. So when you're going on a road and you have seen a mad person or mentally unstable person on the road, so his clothes are all torn and he's just talking some gibberish and all. Okay, then you're going on the road, that person is coming in the opposite direction. Suddenly he says a few bad words to you, like he scolds you or he shouts at you. Will you feel bad? Will you feel very unhappy? Will you feel so low? Can you type your answer in the chat window? So you're going on a road, there is some mentally unstable person on the road. He's talking something and then he says some bad words. Will you feel bad, very unhappy and sad that this person has said these words, right? We usually ignore, right? So, okay, he's a madman, he is talking something. We don't feel so bad about it, right? We just ignore that person and then leave, walk away. Now, the same words, if that person is, instead of that mad person, if it was our spouse, if it's our wife or husband or parents or brothers and sisters, if they say those same words, right, will we feel bad? Yes or no? Will we feel bad? Will we feel sad? It will make us unhappy. If they say these foul words or bad words to us, will we feel bad? Definitely yes, right? Here there is so much clarity. We feel so sad that they said these to these others, right? The other has told this to me, right? Now, why is this different? So when a mad person or a mentally unstable person has said those words, right? We didn't feel so bad, but when the same words were told by said by our somebody very close to us, why did we feel so bad? It immediately causes pain to us. Why? Because when that mentally unstable person has said it, we did not doubt the intention of that person. It's that person is not competent to or he has some problem. So the lack of competence is, we are lack of ability, so that person doesn't know, or let's just ignore that person, he just, but we didn't doubt there was no doubt on the intention. Okay, that's the reason we did not feel bad in that mad person's case. Whereas when the same words were told by our spouse or our parents or siblings, immediately we get hurt because we doubted the intention. This went for a toss. The other wants me to be happy. At that moment, we were not able to see that point. We lost that trust on that person. That's why we feel bad. If we are able to see that the other wants me to be happy, we won't immediately get angry. We may get a sense of concern, like, okay, what is the reason? Why is the person saying this to me? How should I, what should I try to ask and understand the person? So in cases where we don't have the intention, it leads to immediate reactions. Whereas when we have this assurance on that the other wants me to be happy, I have the trust on the other, we respond. We are not immediately losing balance. Take the case of a child, for example. So the child is doing all kinds of irritating things. The child is crying, maybe shouting also, throwing things around, and not very. Usually the child is, let's say, bubbly and happy. What will the mother or the parents think? Oh, did this? Maybe the sleep was not sufficient. The child is little cranky today. Or maybe, oh, it's time for eating, so the child is hungry now, so that's the reason the child is behaving like that. That's how the parent start thinking. Nobody is doubting the intention of the child, that the other wants me to be unhappy. That's why that child is doing this. That usually doesn't come so naturally. So what happened in that child case? We had the trust on the child, so we didn't doubt the intention of the child. We were only doubting about the competence. The child is, losing energy or losing balance or something. So okay, we need to put the child to rest, tired, maybe some rest is required, maybe some food is required. That's why the child is behaving in an erratic manner. That's how we think when it's a child. Same thing when an adult behaves. So the adult has come from somewhere outside, started behaving erratically at home. What would we do? We usually don't try to empathize with the other or try to understand why that person is behaving, right? Immediately we also shout back, or we immediately have anger. Why is this guy behaving like this? Or we tend to be unhappy and show our frustration back on the other. Why that happens? Because the other, we have lost again this thing that the other wants me to be happy. At that point, we have doubted the intention of the other. We didn't look at the competence. Okay, this fellow must have had some problems outside, or deal face got into a bad or a taxi driver, or it could be a number of things. We're not going to list all that down. There could be a number of reasons why that person is frustrated at that moment. We don't try to inquire, or often we don't try to get into the uh, competence part. So we don't try to check on why that person is behaving incompetently, is not able to behave properly, right? We directly go and lose the intention part. So this fellow is always like this fellow never wants to be happy, and or never wants to make me happy. And that's why we immediately get anger, or we also become sad, unhappy, etc. All this happens. So this is the right understanding part, to be able to see this, that the other wants to make me happy. How much money is required to see this? How much money do we need to see that the other wants to make me happy? No money is required, right? This is not, nothing is related to money in this whole thing, right? Whatever we spoke about, intention and competence and the feeling of trust on the other, there's no money involved. This feeling will come when I'm able to see that the other individual, just like I want that person to be happy, if possible, the other person also wants me to be happy. When I'm able to see this, that seeing part, what I'm talking about, see this, that seeing part is the right understanding. We don't usually have that. We are not aware at all. We just lose our tongue, or we just lose our mind, whatever, in those situations. So we immediately react. If you shout, I'll shout. I have a bigger volume. I can shout more. That's what happens most of the in situations. But if we have this right understanding, if I'm conscious and if I'm having the right understanding that the other also wants me to be happy, but the other is behaving like this, so what do I do? I'll take another example. For example, this is especially for college students, and happens in younger ages. So birthday wishes are very important for this in such situations, right? In those ages. So it's birthday, and your close friend has not called you to wish you, right? How would we think? If we had the trust on the friend, how would we think? If we don't have the trust on the friend, what would we do, right? Suppose if we did not doubt the intention of the friend, and if we doubted the intention, and how would our behavior be? So let's say our friend did not call on a birthday to wish me. So naturally, I'm a very close friend I'm talking about. So I'm upset that they did not wish me on my birthday. So next time when they call, either I'm not going to take the call, or I'm going to show my anger, show my frustration. All that I may do if I don't have the assurance about that intention, right? That's the behavior we usually see if there is no trust. If there is trust, how can it be? Like, there are many ways. Even there's no one way to do it. But let's say if there is trust, how can one person possibly do it? If there is trust that the other wants me to be happy, but okay, then when the friend did not call me, I will be concerned. Okay, he usually doesn't forget my birthday, or she usually doesn't forget my birthday. So I should call. I'll call that friend and tell that, "Arey, it's my birthday. How can you forget my birthday? Are you all right? Is everything okay? So how can my birthday be incomplete with your wish, without your wish? So wish me. It's almost 12 o'clock. The day is about to end. So at least wish me now." That's how the behavior would be if we have the trust on the person, right? We don't doubt the intention of the person. We in fact we get concerned why this person who usually is the first one to wish has not wished. Is everything okay? Is that person's health fine, or they are in trouble or something? We get more concerned about the other. We don't get angry on the other when we don't have this doubt on the intention. So this is the difference between the intention and the competence of the other. When we see that the intention of the other is to make me happy, we will have the feeling of trust on the other. So having this feeling of trust is comfortable for me. If I have the feeling of trust, I will be comfortable in my relationships, in dealing with those relationships. If I don't have the feeling of trust towards the other in dealing with these relationships, then I tend to be frustrated, angry, and worried how that person is going to do, what that person is going to do to me, etc. So I'll take questions now. If Yeah, Purushottam ji, please unmute yourselves.
Thanks, Sumanji, for laying the framework for trust. I think it's an interesting definition. I just had one quick question. The root words that you had initially defined, Uddeshyam and Samarthyam, they actually fitted quite well. Just a little puzzled about competence here. So intention, I get. Competence as a word is actually, I feel that it is the ability to make themselves happy or me happy. So it didn't come across the same way as Samarthyam does. So it's just little.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the words, I mean, I'm glad that I used those root words, but the purpose of the word is to actually reach that meaning. So the purpose, I mean, a competence or ability, if you want to use it, ability, it's fine. Yeah. So the other does not have that ability for whatever be the reason. The reason could be upbringing. The reason could be the situations that the other is in. The reason could be, at that moment the person is having a health issue, or it could be hundreds of things. So we all have justifications, right? When we don't behave well, oh, I had a bad day at work. Oh, I'm not feeling well today, or this is what I think is the right thing to do. That whatever be the reason, we give n number of reasons for not making the other comfortable and happy, right? So similarly, the other has n number of reasons. So this ability is always lacking. Either it is lacking in me or in the other. But the intention part, if we try to see in the other, that will lead to a feeling of trust in the other, towards the other. Yeah.
Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Devika ji.
So I wanted to ask that a relationship, there is, I would like you to highlight on the burden of expectation that comes uh, associated with a relationship, because I think sometimes you can't detach yourself, and you may be expecting, the other is not expecting that much, but it is a clash of expectations. How do we manage a relationship at that time?
Mhm. Yeah, sure, Devika ji. So expectations are there in relationships. Like, for example, I expect the other to respect me. I expect the other to trust me. I expect the other to, be caring about me and all that. So expectations are there. We are talking about the fulfillment of relationship, right? So when I have this feeling of trust towards the other, first of all, I am comfortable, right? If I don't have the feeling of trust, will we be comfortable when we are with the other? Can you everybody type in the chat window? Suppose I don't trust with somebody and that person is next to me. Will we be comfortable or uncomfortable? Can you type in the chat window? Do we want the feeling of trust within us? Right? Yeah, we won't be comfortable, right? We want the feeling of trust within us. So this is first thing. So I am already fulfilling my own needs by having the feeling of trust. When I have the feeling of trust towards the other, is the other comfortable or uncomfortable? When I have a feeling of trust towards the other is comfortable or comfortable, right? So I am comfortable if I have the feeling of trust. The other is also comfortable if when I have the feeling of trust. So this having this feeling of trust is leading to comfort for both of us. This is fulfilling of expectations. There are so many expectations just like trust. We want respect, we want affection, care and guidance and all those. So we'll deal with all those in the when we talk about relationships in day 3 and day 4. We are going to talk about more expectations and how do we fulfill those expectations. But trust is a basic fundamental expectation. So that there's no relationship without trust. This is called the foundational value of a relationship. If I don't trust the other, if I don't have the assurance that the other wants me to be happy, then there's no affection that can come on top of that. There's no care that we can give to the other. There's no guidance that we can give to the other. There's no sense of love towards the other. So all that is all those feelings need the basis, that's trust. So expectations are there in relationships. We need to fulfill them, and this by having a feeling of trust towards the other, I am fulfilling the expectations. Uh, my own expectations for me, like to be happy, I need trust towards the other first of all, and also is also making the other comfortable. And the rest of the expectations will come to them as we expand on in the other days. Any other questions? So the proposal here is the other wants you to be happy. Okay. The proposal here is that in every human being, this intention is there. Every human being wants the other, you know, to be happy. Just like I want the other to be happy, I want every human being to be happy. Similarly, every human being only wants to be. They're not able to, they're unable to, the ability is missing. So be sure about that. But they want to be happy. The moment we have this assurance on the want, a lot of things start, a lot of possibilities starts showing up, right? This needs to be experienced in a day-to-day life to be able to uh, have confidence on this. I'll tell you one example. So after I attended this workshop, so I mean I keep taking this example in all the workshop. So I went to a canteen. So one of my friends was coming in front towards me. He was also heading towards the canteen. So I said hi. He didn't respond to me. I said hi to him. He didn't respond to me. And these people are saying that the other, you can have the assurance on the intention of the other. How can I have intention on the assurance of this fellow? This fellow is always like that. I got angry. I also thought about like next time when this fellow comes, I'm not going to say hi to him. All those things I've already thought about and got a lot of stress in myself. Then okay, we stood in the line. Then I'm thinking, these people, Jivanvidya workshop, they said that the intention is true. For the other, the competence may be missing. So how can that be true? I just told him and he didn't respond. Let me ask him. Maybe I should just ask him. So I, with a lot of courage, I tapped his shoulder. He was right in front of me in the line. So my friend. So Hare, I said hi to you, right? So did you see that? Like, why didn't you not respond to me? So he was like, "Oh, did you say hi to me? Sorry, I didn't notice. So I actually lost my purse and I was busy thinking about it. I'm really sorry I did not see that you said hi to me." So at that moment was a moment of, kind of light bulb moment for me. Oh, so it was me who was imagining all these things that the other really wanted to make me unhappy. That's why he did not say hi back to me. and all. I spent 5 minutes thinking of various things that I will do back as revenge to this fellow. All that negative things were unnecessarily. I did that. He was busy in his own world thinking about his lost wallet, like where he left it and all that, and that's why probably he didn't even look at me and didn't say, although his eyes were pointing to me. He may have not noticed my hi to him. So so that this is how the intention, I mean, I have doubted the intention of that person, so I had anger in me. I had thought about a lot of things on how to show my anger on that person. This happens to us, right, in day-to-day life also. When we a lot of times we lose trust on the other, and we start imagining and thinking about various things, whereas the other person is actually, the it's their ability part which is missing. So when we know that the ability part is missing, and that may need some support, our approach will be different. Any questions at this point? Yeah, Mr. Ram, you can unmute yourself.
How do we know what is their intention? Like, they might say that I want you to be happy, but deep down in their mind, they might be like, I don't want this person to be happy, or they might play games.
Yeah.
How do we get to know what is their intention? Or how do we even know what is their ability? Like, whether that person has got that, ability, or are they just playing, or
Right. Yeah, good question. So the proposal that's being made in this workshop is that the intention of every human being is to make the other happy. Okay. The intention of every human is to I mean, wants to, they want to make the other happy. Obviously, this is something we can't like see in a day, like I said. So that first situation which I said built some confidence in me. Okay, they're saying that every human being's intention is pure, and they want the other to be happy. Correct. So this is a proposal. This is a core proposal in about the trust, that the other wants me to be happy. The other could be any person. Okay, just like I want everybody in this world to be happy, everybody in the world also wants to be. Now, there could be various reasons why we start not. I mean, we don't tend to see this in our own because of upbringing. I may think that, okay, hitting is the right way to solve this problem. So I mean, we do a lot of things based on our upbringing and all. So all that comes under the competence part of the person. Because of various reasons, we are not able to make the other happy, and we tend to not do that. But whether intention, when we take just the intention part of the deep down, as human beings, we are all having this common aspect. Just like we all want to be happy, we want the other to be happy also. Now, obviously, that's why we are calling this just a proposal. We go back in our day-to-day life, in our family members. Do we see this? The other wants me to be happy. Do we see this outside? So as we live in our relationships, we have to try to observe this. So as we try to observe this, we will have more and more confidence on this proposal, and it will lead to that right understanding. So the right understanding, when it reaches, that's a point of no return. Until then, we are experimenting. We are trying to figure out whether it's true or not, whether their proposal is just just a conceptual framework, or whether it's just the reality the way it is. Whether every human being is is like that or not. We have to like really live out to see this thing. But the proposal here in front of you all is that every human being at an intention level wants you to be happy. That's the proposal. So there's no, evaluation, like we don't need to check whether this fellow's intention is good or not. The intention is always good. The competence part may vary. Like for example, I'll tell you, I know a friend who is always late, suppose. Okay, now we are planning to meet at, let's say, 5 o'clock at a coffee shop. I know that this fellow is always usually late. What do? I don't have to wait again, go there, get angry and all that. So in the first hand, I know that this person's competence is less on being on time. So what I'll do is I'll call up half an hour before or 1 hour before. Hey, we plan to meet at 5, and we can also openly tell, because they're friends, you often get late, so I'm just calling to make sure that whether you started and whether you're on track for 5 o'clock today. When can we do this? When we have that assurance on the intention. So we are not angry at that moment. We are just helping the other on their competence part, on their ability part. We can do that only when we have the assurance on the intention. When we have the doubt on the intention, we cannot do that, building of the competence, because our mind doesn't function well when we have the doubt on the intention. So I'm trying to help that person to be there on the time at 5 o'clock by helping him in the competence part. In the intention part, I don't have any intention. His intention is that he meets me or she meets me, and we both have some good time and we meet on the time and all that. So there's no doubt on the intention. But the competence, whether to achieve that or is there or not, I have to support if the other doesn't have that competence. This comes up in various forms in our day-to-day life. So if somebody is not able to for example behave well in a particular situation, we when we have the trust on the intention of the other, when we can see that, then we work on the competence aspect of the other. We don't directly, and also our part, and it's important, like my intention, whether I am able to see that or not is the first thing. I need to work on my own competence also, instead of uh, you know my working on my own competence is the same thing, like to be able to see that the other wants to make me happy. Okay, Venugopal garu. Please unmute yourself, sir. You're muted right now. Okay, maybe you're having a technical problem. If you can unmute yourself, then please ask your question, sir, later. Meanwhile, so this was just one example. So I was taking an example of the trust part, and this is one of the various aspects of relationships. Okay, under relationships, we have like more things to be understood. What we just saw was trust. Okay, in trust there are other feelings like trust, and then respect, affection, care, guidance, reverence, glory, gratitude, and love. So these are the 9 feelings which will be dealt with in this workshop. We just touched upon one small aspect called trust. Of course, it's a foundational value. So in the remaining days in the workshop, like we said, in the day 3 and day 4, we will talk about the remaining aspects of the relationship. So the reason we touched upon this trust is to see that if we have the right understanding, that proposal which we said, see the intention of the other and to have the assurance that the intention is to make me happy, that is the right understanding about trust. If we have the right understanding about trust, our relationships start to become more and more comfortable, right? If we don't have the right understanding, our relationships are all strained. I don't have trust on the other, I'm frustrated, I'm easily angry on the other, and all that, right? So how right understanding, so having the right understanding about the trust will lead to comfort within me and in the other. So it's leading to happiness in relationships. Similarly, all these also will lead to various things. I mean, in relationships, like comfort in relationships. We'll see how that happens as we understand them when on the relationships day. And on the other days, we have other things to cover. So that's how we need right understanding. So we need right understanding about myself, about my body, my relationships, society, and my role with nature. So if we have the right understanding, we get so many beautiful things happening in our life. If we don't have, not just that, just because I have right understanding doesn't mean we don't get troubles anymore. The problem may come, the situation may come, but I have the capacity to handle that situation if I have the right understanding. If I don't have the right understanding, I won't have the capacity to handle that situation. So before we close for today, in the next 5 minutes, I want to ask one question. So we talked about three things: right understanding, and then we said relationships, and then we have the physical facilities, right? Can you, so let's call this 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Can you give the order of importance? Which is the most important thing in our life? Which is next most important, and which is the third most important thing? Can you put the order in your chat, in the chat window? One, two, three. Somebody said 1, 2, 3. Everybody, can you please put your order of importance in the chat window? Right understanding, relationships, physical facilities. Okay, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. Health, family, wealth. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All are equally important. It depends on the situation. Okay. Yeah. So most of you have said 1, 2, 3 or 2, 1, 3, etc. So nobody has said 3, 2, 1. So at least, so either this is most important. So if we have the right understanding, okay, in relationships, it will lead to mutual comfort. If we don't have the right understanding in relationships, it leads to problems in relationships. Similarly, if we have the right understanding about physical facilities, how much I need, how much money I need, how much physical facilities I need, and all that leads to right utilization of the physical facilities. So yeah, definitely all of them are important. Definitely all of them are required. But which is, if you look at now, now the next question, someone needs to mute. Admins, can you please mute? Uh, okay, thank you. So definitely all of them are required, and the priorities, of course, like most of you have told that right understanding is the most important thing, and then after that, relationships and physical facilities. But let's look at the effort in our day-to-day lives. Which is the one in which we spend most of our effort in our day-to-day lives? Where do we spend our most of our time? Achieving right understanding, or achieving relationships, or achieving physical facilities? Three. Okay, right. So most of you are, yeah, are typing 3. Some of you are spending time on relationships or right understanding also. So all we said, right understanding is the most important one, or relationships is the most important. Nobody said physical facilities is the most important one. Whereas the time wise and effort wise, where we are spending the most of the effort, we are spending on this one, right? what obviously our priorities are clearly not, in the right way. We are saying that this is the most important one, or this is the most important one, but spending most of the time on this one, and time and effort and energy and everything on in achieving the physical facilities. So our scope of living, what is our scope of living? Are we limiting to physical facilities, or is this whole thing in our scope of living is what we need to reflect upon? Okay, we want all three of them. We are not undermining physical facilities, or we are not undermining any of them, right? But whether we are spending enough time and energy on all the three or not is the question, right? So as we have already, like, from your inputs, we have seen that we are spending most of the time in physical facilities. This is necessary but not sufficient.
Suman garu,
Yeah, we are closing in 1 minute. So our efforts on physical facilities are necessary but are not complete. As a human being, right understanding and relationships are also important for us. So this is something to reflect upon. And in this workshop, we are trying to work on, building our right understanding so that our relationships become more comfortable, and we also know how much we need and how to use it. So this is the where we are putting our efforts in this. This is what the whole, all three are required for it. This is the scope of a human being. For an animal, this scope is sufficient. Their content, most of the times, if they have, as by the build, by the nature. So, of course, some animals which are in contact with humans, you may see other things, but in general, the scope of human being is this whole thing. We are not. This is not sufficient for us. Physical facilities is not sufficient for us. So, okay, so that's the first day of the session. Thank you for your time in attending this. If you have any questions, I can take one question before we close. But yeah, we are going to end the session. Any question on this, whatever we just spoke? I can take one question. Okay, so if there are no questions, thank you so much for attending. In day 2, tomorrow same time, we'll join. I will be like, I'm not the one who is going to conduct all the sessions. You will meet more facilitators as we go along with these workshops. So you CHDHC team, you'll see more people at facilitating from our team. So thank you for your attention, and see you all tomorrow at the same time. We'll continue with the rest of the workshop.
Thank you, Sumanji.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Come on.